According to details, Nigeria's stock market lost about 93 billion naira as global equity market tumbles. I told you about that when we took a look at the market watch, but now we want to look at it properly, even as we tie that to the Johannesburg Stock Exchange that, according to reports, has also lost some steam. Just stay with us. The Nigerian equity markets mirrored the global trend, shedding 93 billion naira on Monday. The all-share index and market capitalization fell by 0.17% to 97,582.41 points and 55.40 trillion naira. Despite increased trading volume, the market breadth was negative, with more stocks declining than gaining. And also, the South African stock market extended its losses from Friday amid escalating geopolitical tensions and fears of a potential U.S. recession. And analysts attribute the market's downturn to a combination of factors. I will be getting more details from our guest this morning. I have Samuel Oyekanmi, Research and Insight Associate at Norrenberger, to help us understand this better. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
So we see that the Nigerian and South African stock exchanges recorded losses. In reference to the economic reports that we have flying around, what would you pinpoint as the most causal factors?
Yeah, I think so. Generally, equities have not been doing so well across different markets, especially in Africa, especially in Q2 down to the early part of Q3. But I think one of the major things that has happened in the last 1 week was global tensions in the Middle East between Hamas and Israel. The fear that that is also going to escalate into a possible World War III, and how that has also affected some commodity prices like crude oil. Crude oil is now saying I think around $70 per barrel. That, and then the US also, the fear of the US falling into a recession. We saw their data released at some point last week. The unemployment rate had increased. Payrolls figures had decreased more than expected. And what that is suggesting is that the economy is also feeling the brunt of the high interest rates. And just as a result of those fears and panic, we're seeing a lot of sell-offs happening around in the US and Asian market, in some areas in Europe, and then also in Africa. So yeah, combination of factors, but most importantly, in the last 1 week has been the US economy, the fear of loosening interest rate in the coming future, and then the crisis in the Middle East.
Okay, so let's now bring that to Nigeria and look at the Nigerian bourse, how this global economic turbulence is affecting it. Now, let's look at the detail on what sectors or industries are actually affected by these losses as it's been recorded. How do you even think that this impacts the overall market performance?
Unfortunately, when you look at it from a technical or fundamental side of things, you look at the financials of many of the companies listed in the Nigerian market. See, many of them have printed relatively losses as a result of FX devaluation losses. The likes of MTN, who again is one of the most capitalized firms in the Nigerian market, losing from over 220 to around 190, 180 now. Just having those kind of stocks, the likes of Dangote Cement, also the most capitalized stocks in the market, having to print negative.
Welcome back to Business Edge on News Central Television. We have been talking about the fact that the Nigerian bourse has lost about 93 billion naira in terms of equities, and we've been looking at it from different angles, even as we've been engaging Samuel Oyekanmi, who is the Research and Insight Associate at Norrenberger, and he's been bringing this to perspective, helping us understand what the factors, the causal factors are, and how that is affecting the NGX. Samuel, thank you so much for staying with us. Now, you were actually talking about how this trend is actually affecting the various sectors and industries in Nigeria and the overall performance. I'd like you to just pick it from there and continue.
All right, thank you very much. I was talking about the fact that our manufacturing industries, the telco industries have suffered huge financial losses as a result of the FX devaluation and whatnot. And what that suggests to many investors is that there's no dividends, just as we see from the likes of MTN last year and many other firms operating in the manufacturing industries. And what that necessarily just brings about is that investors move around their portfolios into stocks that pay dividends. Of course, you expect some companies. This is half year result time. You expect some of those companies to pay dividends. You see them rotating their portfolios towards businesses that pay dividends. Unfortunately, many of the banks also are one of, at least predominantly, pay a
Okay.
lot of dividends in Nigeria. But unfortunately,
Samuel,
can you hear me?
Samuel, we would love to get more details from you, but I'd like to just pause a while. We have this particular pertinent issue we need to deal with. Now, we have our correspondent, Bernard Akede, who has been covering the End Bad Governance protest in Lagos. We understand that he has details for us that he would like to share. Samuel, stay with us. Bernard, good morning to you. Hello, Bernard, if you can hear me. Also, there you can see our correspondent Bernard Akede, who was at the Ojota axis. According to what we understand, he was summoned by one of the security chiefs right there in that axis of the state, and they will be sharing his details with us now, even as we see that the protest is ongoing. Now, Bernard, good morning to you. I'd like you to talk to us as regards to your engagement with the police chief there.
Good morning, Leko. Yes, I would like to quickly rush this, if you permit me.
Go ahead.
I would like to quickly rush this. So the police boss I spoke to there called my attention and said that the presence of the press here is attracting more people. Now they would like to clear the people here, but as it is, the people are mixing up with the press, so our presence is attracting them. Now he has saddled me with the responsibility, however, to speak to the other journalists and let them know that they should please, at some point, stop granting interviews to people who are here, particularly people who may be trying to, protest. If you can see all the way, rather than protesters, you have security operatives all the way down there. What we have here is journalists. We've been prevented from going all the way down there, and now, well, I have been saddled with the responsibility of, conducting this crowd and letting other journalists know that they should stop granting interviews. So that's pretty much what our conversation was about this morning.
But
I may have to go and speak to the other journalists to let them know that this is what the police have said they should do.
Okay.
However, whether or not they respond to me is not on me, it's on them.
Okay, I think I should let you do that. But quickly, before you go, let me just confirm. Was it based on the directive? Did you confirm that was a directive given by the Commissioner of Police, or that is just the security chief using his discretion?
And so I asked him just before I left, I asked him, was there any information that there will be no gathering of protesters here this morning? And he said, well, he cannot confirm that to me, but all he wants to tell me is that our presence seems to be, not just our presence, our granting of interviews seems to be attracting more people. They don't want people here, they want to clear the crowd here. However, if they begin to clear the crowd, it will affect us too as journalists, and they don't want to push out the wrong narrative. So he's asked me to help clear the crowd. So we still don't know if there was an official statement or official information stating that there will be no protests here today. That's the most that I have this morning from him.
So I'm just wondering now what this actually portends when we talk about press freedom in the country. What does that mean? Because there's meant to be freedom of association, freedom to share information, and you are just doing your job.
Exactly. Freedom of the press is still something that, is being debated and is being questioned around this part of the world. And now, in this case, you see that they made it look a bit funny and dicey, such that they are saying that is the press, they're not, the way they're telling the story now is like they're not stopping the press from doing their job, but they are saying that the presence of the press is attracting people, and that granting of interviews is going to make the place get rowdy and crowded. So they want us to use our position to tell those who have come here to please move away, or to stop granting interviews while we're here. We can take our shots, we can speak, but we should stop granting interviews so that we stop attracting people, which, well, like it or not, in one way or the other, it still boils down to freedom of the press, or the lack of it in this case.
Bernard Akede, thank you so much for sharing these updates with us. Just try as much as possible to stay safe, even as you carry on with your duties, and we wish you all the best. That is our correspondent, Bernard Akede, at the Ojota axis of the Lagos mainland, giving us updates as regards the directive being issued by the security personnel on ground, saying that the journalists, so to speak, should not interact anymore with the protesters on ground, so as not to further attract more attention towards this particular demonstration that we've seen in the last couple of days. Samuel, sorry to actually put you on hold there. I'd like to just quickly digress a bit and get your reaction as regards what our correspondent just said, looking at the issue around end bad governance and the disposition of the security operatives to this.
Well, I think that's an interesting tweak to it. Nigerians have had to endure a lot of hardship, high number of extreme poverty, inflation rates almost at 30-year high, and a host of many other things. Cost of living has gone up, cost of accommodation, transport. And I think it's only fair that Nigerians are also given the opportunity to express their grievances to the government, hoping that they would listen. Although my personal opinion, when I try to juxtapose between what the government is trying to do and what they can actually change based on some of this, or based on the needs or for what we are clamoring as protesters, I seem to not really understand very clearly, because some of those policies, I don't think they might be reversed, because they could have a lot more ripple effect on the economy if they do. But of course, we need some level of accountability in government. We need to improve social trust. There seems to be a lack of it right now, and the government really needs to do a lot more in that regard, so that at least the populace would have some level of trust in the government, believing that they will do right by the people.
So with all of this happening, how do you think that investors will be looking at the situation? Just 30 seconds. How do you think investors would be looking at this to address
Of course,
it?
that's going to have a negative effect on investment, especially foreign investors, because they look at the Nigerian economy as a volatile environment where anything can happen. Don't forget, NSAS is just about 2 years ago, and a reoccurrence of that would just be disastrous. So anyone would want to stay away from such an economy because, of course, it's riskier.
We know that the NSAS movement was actually 4 years ago, 2020. That was the year. But we just want to say thank you, Samuel Oyekanmi, for sharing your thoughts with us. We hope that the Nigerian economy somehow will pick up, including the Nigerian bourse. That is the hope of so many people. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Lekon Obanjo. Thank you so much for joining us on today's edition of Business Edge. Enjoy your day.